All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Nobody knows. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. I feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. Very nervous, no one knew, no one knew. And the teacher tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to tell. People run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
I have a quick question. Usually when there's controversial issues like the Palestine-Israeli conflict, which I've personally been following for most of my adult life, I like to refer to the human rights record on this issue, for any controversial issue.
Okay.
So, Human Rights Watch. If I could just, if you remind me, just a small quote. December 19, 2010, just 3 months ago. Quote, Palestinians face systematic discrimination merely because of their race, ethnicity, and national origin. In other words, apartheid. Depriving them of electricity, water, schools, and access to roads where nearby Jewish settlements enjoy all these state-provided benefits. Further on, while Israeli settlements flourish, Palestinians under Israeli control live in a raft not just separate, not just unequal, but sometimes even pushed off their lands and out of their homes. Unfortunately, we have the problem of the documentary record, mainly the problem of facts. And that's a straight contrast to all the rosy picture you paint, integrating Arabs in the economy. And this is not just Human Rights Watch. Amnesty International, B'Tselem, Israeli Center, they all come to the same conclusion. How could you tell me that there's not an apartheid system in Israel today?
Well, I can tell you that regarding the human rights organization, we have problems with the systematically negative attitude towards Israel. And the problem is dealing with the structure of these organizations. Because these organizations supported by states, by political, the political way, and they are systematically criticizing Israel. Everything that happens, they criticize Israel. Now, I'm not saying that everything is perfect in Israel, but Israel is the only place in the Middle East that journalists can go and take pictures and photos and do research. Now, if I speak about the Human Rights Council, for example, and related it to the things that happened, the Human Rights Council in the UN issued 9 decisions, 5 of them were against Israel. Also another organization. Do you know who were the members, 2 members of the Human Rights Council?
I know Libya was one.
Libya and Syria.
Okay.
So now, the people in the world can see what's happening in Syria and Libya. And if you compare the situation between Syria and Libya and Israel, you see the difference. So there is a basic problem with the organization. And their report is based on a political background.
Could you recommend one human rights organization that I could follow that you recommend is a good one that I could trust? Do you recommend just one?
One human rights?
Yes, that I could follow and avoid all this propaganda by Human Rights Watch, Amnesty, and B'Tselem.
No, unfortunately I can't.
None. Oh, okay. Thank you.
No doubt that within the occupied territories, Palestinian land, that there is a horrendous example of apartheid. Persecution of the Palestinians now under the occupied territories is under the occupation forces is one of the worst examples of human rights deprivation that I know.
What did you see with your own eyes when you went there?
Well, I saw the destruction of the only flour-producing factory in Gaza. I saw fields ploughed up by Israeli tank bulldozers. I saw chicken farms for egg production completely destroyed, tens of thousands of chickens killed. I met with families who lost their loved ones in homes in which they were seeking shelter from the Israeli ground forces. I had to have the very emotional and difficult interviews with fathers whose little daughters were killed, whose family were killed, one family over 21 members killed by Israeli mortars. So it was a very difficult investigation which will give me nightmares for the rest of my life. Nightmares for the rest of my life. Nightmares for the rest of my life.